What's going on, hobby nerds? Welcome back. Today's a special episode. Not only do I have this little old Umbray army beginning here, I also have these awesome color cards made by probably one of my favorite YouTube painters, Ninjon. These things are awesome. We'll get into them more later, but I was super happy to track him down at Nova and be like, hey, I want to paint these. And then he was giving out samples to everybody, so that was awesome. They are called the Deck of Many Colors. They're a project Ninjon has worked on himself. If you want to see how a professional does it, you should watch his videos on it. Links below. He does a much better job than I will do across today's video, but I wanted to paint something like this and I wanted to share it with the people I knew. So that's why we're here today. The cards are super high quality. If you know Color Cube, they're just like Color Cube, but for miniature painters. They have like this really velvety feel and like actually foil metallic on them. If I can get that. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And even better, instead of trying to figure out hex codes to paint, they literally just have the paint brands listed. So like for me, favorite brand of paint right now is P3. P3 paints are already listed on here. So this is a great thing. So over the past few days, I know it was weeks, shh. I painted, I'm gonna butcher her name, Alicia Reznikova, Mistress of Thorns. She is one of the old Umbray Khador new casters. Newish, a little behind on this video. But for this specific version, this is the extreme version of her. So there's also a normal version, which is available in the auxiliary box, but this is available on my mini factory. They have a tribe there where they do tons of old sculpts for a lot of casters as new armies come out. If you want to see more of the extreme sculpts, be sure to check that out. This one's just, I was gonna paint the original one because I was like, that's a cool model. And then I saw the extreme version, I was like, nope, that's the one. That's the model I want to paint from this army. So here we are. So I have done a paint challenge like this before. I did one with my boy Gregorium from Party Foul Gaming. He is an awesome painter, but we limited ourselves to 3 or 4 colors, and then we allowed ourselves to have flesh tones on top of that. Because we painted an elf, but we wanted to have the cool colors and then the flesh tones. We didn't use those core colors to then make the flesh tones, which is what we ended up doing today. So I grabbed these 5 colors and I dropped them all into a palette. I mixed a wide variety of them just to kind of get an idea of what mixes with what ratios might lead to something, and then at the end I kind of just mixed what is all these colors mixed together, because I know at some point I'm gonna have to do that. Having 0 direction on this model, I was like, I don't know what colors are going where. I needed to just block out some colors. So I took the black-green mixture I had made, and which I already kind of liked, but it was gonna be perfect to work up to the gnarls green that we have. I decided to block in her cloak and then just start from there. Roughly broken into 3/3. 1/3 being her, 1/3 being her hair, 1/3 being the tree. The tree has the snakes on it, and to break up the tree before I decided to paint the tree was the snakes. So I took the snakes being another key piece of the model, being entangled in her hair, all around the tree, and just kind of all over the model, which, good for her. Couldn't be me. But I wanted to add some blue there because I wanted the reptiles and like the cool punchy colors that they normally have. Next was the tree itself. It's not the main model. Like when you look at this model, you're gonna see, oh, there's a tree in it, but that's not the model we're looking at here. We're looking at Reznikova herself. I got it right. And I needed it to not be one of the 5 colors. It just was gonna draw away to the model too much. So I ended up mixing red, green, black, and a little bit of the gray to get this ashy wood color that looks super desaturated. It kind of fit the model, but also didn't pull away from the main model that we were gonna go for. Moving back to her clothing, I originally thought 2 shades of green were gonna be the vines and the cloak were gonna work, but with how the colors were mixing at this point, I knew that wasn't gonna be what it was. So I wanted that pinky raging rose from Army Painter to be the thorns on her cloak. Starting out, did a 50-50 mix of gnarls green and raging rose to kind of get that foundation as we work up to raging rose. So the next big hurdle was the skin. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know what I was gonna do here. None of these colors to me just screamed, you can make a flesh tone out of this. It's just, in my head, I couldn't process it. Thankfully, I was live streaming this, and shout out to chat for being like, hey, mix these 2 colors. And then I was like, there it is. And as soon as I saw it, I was able to take that and run with it, and we got some foundations done. It's just a lesson to not be afraid to get a friend check on your models that you're painting if you feel stuck. Because even if they give you the right direction, perfect, run with it, and then be thankful you got them as a friend because they were able to guide you back on track so you could keep painting. Or If it's not what you wanted, you try the thing and you're like, this isn't it. But if that then sparks you to make the right thing, then that advice was still super helpful. That's like, then you both were like, oh, well, there we go. And in this case, that advice was mixing blue and red with a little bit of the rubber black, just to get like a dark purplish skin tone. Very undead looking, very perfect for this, and we're just gonna run with it. Taking that original mix of the red, blue, and a little bit of black, we mix a little bit more of red and gray into that mixture to then start shaping out some of the models with some thin glazes, just to kind of get an idea of where the shapes on her legs are. And that wraps up day 1 of painting. Big warning here, warning, warning, warning. When y'all do this challenge, because I know you're gonna want to, because this thing was super fun, by the way, don't skip weeks between doing this like I did, because you end up forgetting the array of colors and mixtures you did. Because like I forgot, I was like, how did I mix that? What was that color? That was this, right? I grabbed all the 5 dots of red, mixed them all with a color, and I was like, oh, that's how those mix again. Going back to that same red-green mix, finishing the details we didn't do before on day 1, like the vines wrapping around the tree and just the little stuff, and reestablishing any parts we missed before. We're gonna mix more red into that mixture we just had of the red and greens for a 2-to-1 ratio, covering up the majority of the vines, leaving that base color in the deepest of shadows. Lastly, using pure Raging Rose on the topmost facing vines to add that last pop of color as we start to make some of these 5 colors our main color on the model. Moving on to the skull mask. I really had no idea what I was doing. I was like, how is this gonna look if I try to mix bone out of these 5 colors? It wasn't gonna look good in my head, but then I saw the snakes, the super desaturated model so far, and I was like, you know what? Medusa. So that sparked me to do a skull stone mask, and I was like, that's perfect. That's gonna be what we need right now. Anywhere that we want that stone to be, we're taking a 1-to-1 mixture of the rubber black and the Cacaradon gray from 2 thin coats and just base coating it on there. So like her main headpiece and then the raven skull on her chest. Now doing our first highlight to help block out those areas, we do a 2-to-1 of gray to black. And at this stage I realized the model was looking kind of flat in terms of the skull, and I was like, this doesn't look like stone yet. I grabbed my smallest dry brush that I could, did a 3-to-1 mix of the gray to black, and dry brushed it on there. I was going for that chalky vibe because to me, the chalky vibe has always had a place on bone and concrete looking things. Wrapping up the dry brush, doing a pure gray on the highest points of the model, just to pick out those details, and then adding a delicious dot of blue in the eyes, because you know what? Magic. So that's 2 chunks of this model done. This model's starting to look awesome. I'm excited for where it's going. Let's move on to the next part, which is the cloak. Again, trying to go reference back to my original mixtures, I did black and green. Turns out I went a little too dark this time, but it ended up repurposing this shade to just pack in some more shadows and separation onto the cloaks that I didn't get before. So right now, just putting this mixture into the recesses and the folds of the cloak as it wraps around the tree. Then jumping straight to Gnarls Green as the main green for this cloak, because now that is going to be the main color for this part of the model. And it's at this stage that we're seeing these final colors finally show up. We have the gray all the way done, we have the red all the way done on something, and now the greens all the way done on something. And 3 of these 5 colors are on the model, and it's starting to come to life out of its desaturated vibe before. And to finish off the green, we mix in some of that arcane blue just to add a little hedge highlight and separate some of those larger sections of clothing. Now, getting to one of the other thirds of this model we had talked about before, her hair, and you can't knock me for being bad at painting it. I don't have any. So base coating all of her hair, arcane blue. Now, moving on to a different part of the model, I was a little afraid to start the next step, so I mixed up red, green, and black to make this dark, muddy brown, base coated the base, just to kind of get a, hey, we're done with the base color for now, let's move back onto the hair. Now, here's a time-saving step for me in trying to finish this model in time. Taking rubber black, thinning it super down, and using it as a wash on the arcane blue hair just to add the black, which ended up being a little more brown than I thought it would be. And maybe I mixed colors on my palette on accident. It's okay, it's fine. It still ended up looking great. So we just use that as a wash, cover the whole thing, and then bring the arcane blue back up, hitting the highest points, leaving the brownish, bluish, blackish color in the darkest shadows. Lastly, mixed in some of that Carcharodon Gray from Two Thin Coats with our Arcane Blue from P3, just to highlight on some of those more rounded upmost parts of the hair. Now, it's a theme in Old Umbery that a lot of the models have pets or animals, and there's even just flat out bears in this army. And it's super cool. I wanted to do something fun with the basically pets of this one, because Galena has a fox, she's got snakes. One of the casters literally turns into a bear and has like a little mini bear with him. It's super cool. But for this one, I wanted to add texture to the reptiles, because snakes tend to have like these cool little scales or color shifts or whatever. So I took Arcane Blue, put just like a 2-to-1 mix of Arcane Blue to black, and then stippled it on to act as like this texture on the snake, and then ended up doing individual dots with a smaller brush on the snakes wrapping around her that were a little closer, and I didn't want to mess up. All right, on to the final step. Thanks for hanging in with me. This has been a journey, but we are almost done. The skin is looking good. You could even call it done here if you like that. I wanted to go a shade lighter, and this is where I forgot I added black into the mix of the original red and blue. And if it looks a little bit off as we paint our first highlight, basically, that's why. Because I mixed red and blue, got close enough to the shade, then added a little bit of gray, put that on the model, and it was like, that's a little different. But we're gonna run with it, because that's what this is about. Just running with it, trying new things, and the whole model is going to work together because these 5 colors are picked beforehand. They all kind of have this vibe and they all kind of mesh together. Then for the final stage, the final highlight, we added in more gray and then just a teeny tiny amount of green as our final highlight, just kind of glazing that up bit by bit, scratching those like the highlights in and then smoothing it out. And we're done. I'll let all of you enjoy this awesome B-roll of this awesome model before I do my closing thoughts. Be right back. We're done, end of the video. If this hasn't convinced you to check out Deck of Many Colors, well, you should check them out anyway. Link below. Not affiliated, it's just a product I really like. It's color cube, but for mini painters, and it has our paint brands already on it. So there's like way less work for us to be like, oh, what color is that? That's close to this. That's kind of it. Also with color cube, there was pictures of like literal soup, and I don't know how to turn a soup into a mini. Maybe you can. This is cool, because like on this one, it has this dude fighting a giant monster. On this one, it has this magical dude holding a rock. And that's the one I picked because magical dude rocks are cool. And each one has 3 different paint colors that are fitting the bill once it decides to focus. So even if you don't have P3, there are other options for paint brands. There will be another video because I do want to do another one of these. These are awesome. I can't wait to see the final product. And who knows, maybe I'll do a full army. I have an idea of what I want to do with my next army. And if there is a color card close to it, I'm definitely gonna use that and we'll just run with it from there. And quick note, if for some reason, Ninjon, you see this video, thanks so much for the dope project and thanks for being an inspiration to push me out of my comfort zone and to paint with just these colors. Really appreciate that. And enough of me being a simp. Thank you guys for watching so much. I hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know in the comments down below if this is something you're thinking about trying on a next model or a whole army. And as always, stay frosty, my friends. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.